Coming off their most complete game of the season, the Michigan Wolverines have their biggest game of the season. As we welcome in Jack Miller from the Michigan Wolverine Radio Network. Jack, there definitely has been some momentum building for this Michigan Wolverine program over the last few weeks. Is that enough momentum to pull off the upset?
We're going to find out, but I think you said it over the last several weeks. They've played better and better, started to figure out, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, just not making terrible mistakes that have put them in bad situations. And then the defense really has started to gel in the back half of the season, is playing really solid right now. Yeah, it's going to be a tall order to go to Columbus and find a way to win this game. An Ohio State team that is loaded with talent, is playing very confident right now, and anytime you play this game, you can throw away the record books. The rivalry means so much, and there's a lot of passion that's going to go into this game. And look, I don't think it's a invincible Ohio State team for sure. And Michigan's on the right trajectory. Could be a good day for Michigan. It could go the other way too. We'll see. I'm really interested to see how this one pans out. It'll tell a lot, I think, about where both teams really are.
As Sharon Moore pointed out earlier this week, this is a talented Ohio State roster, but it's been a talented Ohio State roster the last 3 seasons, and Michigan has found ways to win. How much confidence has been built up over the last 3 years, and will that be a difference maker on Saturday?
I think it is for sure. These guys from Michigan, they haven't seen an Ohio State loss. Some of them, most of them, have never been through something like that. And conversely, down in Columbus, a lot of those guys haven't beat Michigan before. I do think that there's something to be said for that. Yes, Michigan did beat Ohio State teams over the last several years that were very talented, but we were incredibly talented as well. And obviously, it's not the same team that it's been in the past. But that's what makes college football great and the rivalry fun, is that you never know what's going to happen. You show up, you put a good game plan together, and you try to go execute it. And for Michigan to play spoiler this year is a new situation to be in. It's been a while since back in my playing days where we kind of had this identity, but it's fun, and we'll see what those guys are able to do with it, and if they can make it something meaningful this Saturday in Columbus.
Seemingly a perfect game plan in the win over Northwestern, a 50-6 victory. We saw some things offensively in that win over Northwestern we have not seen from Michigan all season long. A lot more creative play calling from Sharon Moore. That is going to give Ohio State more things to prepare for on Saturday, as well as give the Wolverines more confidence to go deeper in their playbook against the Buckeyes.
Well, the important thing that they were able to do is stay on schedule. And first downs, they were able to get good yards. They didn't go backwards much. They didn't turn the ball over. And so, the difference between a 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, and a 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7, the playbook does. It opens up all of a sudden. You can start to get really creative. You can start calling things that you just never were able to get to otherwise. And then the play action game gets going, and we've seen them have success with that. They didn't need to throw the ball necessarily to score last week against Northwestern, but they were able to throw the ball efficiently. And as I mentioned earlier, Davis Warren has done a good job in the back half of this year of just not making mistakes. It's okay. It doesn't have to be some massive play every time. It just can't be terrible in helping out the other team. They've played a complete game finally. Is it too little, too late? Yes, for their postseason hopes. But if they're able to go down to Columbus and knock off the Buckeyes, that'll save what has been a tough season so far. That'll certainly save it.
When asked about the maturation of Davis Warren over the last couple of weeks, Coach Moore pointed out the offense around him has matured as well. So it's not just Davis Warren making better decisions at quarterback. It's the playmakers around him making better decisions that we saw in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was pretty difficult or hard, I should say, on the wide receiver core early in the year. But I've watched those guys get better. I've watched them find ways to get open and give him opportunities to find the ball in space down the field. The rest of the team has gelled, and that's what you want. You want your football team to be gelling in November. I mean, becoming the best version of themselves. Unfortunately, it was too late by the time Michigan got around to doing that. Just the way the schedule fell. They probably, you remember the last couple of years, they weren't challenged until November. And this year they were challenged up and down the schedule the entire year. That's just the way college football is now. So they're going to have to adjust to that. But there's no doubt about it that this team is trending the right way. They might not have the talent to execute at the highest levels. Obviously, they're not going to be in the playoff or anything like that. They're probably not at that caliber. But all you can ask for from a team is that they got better today than they were yesterday. Michigan's been able to do that the last month.
Defensively, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant continue to do a great job on the interior, but I want to talk about the edge. Josiah Stewart, TJ Guy, they've both come up big the last few weeks. And it's not just about worrying about the interior of that Michigan defensive line. You have to worry about those edge guys just as much.
Yeah, Josiah Stewart's been great all year. I mean, I think they named him a team captain about halfway through the season, which just signifies to me that he's doing all the right things in the building. Obviously, we've seen what he's done on Saturdays, but every other day of the week, for them to name him captain is quite an honor. And he's a wrecking ball out there. You know, he's an undersized defensive end, but boy, is he quick. He plays with a great motor. He's always flying around. And then you said it, TJ Guys had a great year too. He's a guy who's gotten better as the season has gone on, helping out, Derek Moore over on that other side. It's been fun to watch those guys develop. It hasn't been perfect all the time. We've had our fair share of problems with the defense, but they've trended the right way, and particularly the secondary and the back end. You can see them correcting mistakes that they made the week before. And like I said, that's what you want to see out of a football team is, are we better today than we were yesterday?
Let's talk a little bit about that secondary. Will Johnson has not been ruled out officially. Now, there have been reports that he is done for the season. Sharon Moore would neither confirm nor deny those. But without Will Johnson, that secondary, as you said, they have found ways to improve. Quentin Johnson has come along big, and it's not the same secondary Michigan thought they would have this season, but it is still a strong secondary.
Yeah, they played better. They've got better as the season went on. They got exposed a little bit when we went out to Washington. They got picked on a couple guys in particular, but they really buckled down from there. They were playing off of wide receivers too much. It was just too easy. So what did they do the next week? They fixed it, and then they played a pretty good game against Illinois. We saw what happened with Indiana. We saw what happened this last week. Those guys have really stepped up and done a pretty good job. And, Will Johnson, he is who he is. Obviously, it'd be awesome to have him out there, but he hasn't been the last several weeks, and the defense has still found a way to play very, very well.
Now, in this week of Thanksgiving, let's go back in time, back to even when you were in school, before even college, maybe even elementary school. Occasionally, this game was played the week before Thanksgiving, as opposed to a couple days after Thanksgiving. Now, as a player, would you have been thankful to have this game before Thanksgiving, or were you grateful to have it after the holiday?
This game it's an anomaly in and of itself, just the rivalry, the pageantry that goes into it, what it usually means for both teams every year. And then you factor in the Thanksgiving break with that and the holiday, and you're around, so you're not in your normal cadence. You're not in your normal routine as a student athlete. And so it just does feel like no matter if it was before or after, this whole kind of 10 days, so to speak, feels like an entirely different point of the season. It feels like the cherry on top, and then everything from there. The last couple of years from Michigan has been great, and obviously it won't be that way this year. But being from Toledo, being a part of this rivalry for a long, long time, it's a special week. We've been on the good side of it for a couple of years now. We'll see what happens Saturday, but just to be associated with the rivalry is truly special.
1993, the last time an unranked Michigan team beat a ranked Ohio State team. We'll see if the Wolverines can add another chapter in the history of upsets in the game. I want to thank our guest, Jack Miller from the Michigan Wolverine Radio Network. Jack, thank you, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go Blue. Thanks, Mark.
All right, appreciate it, Jack.
You got it, man. Talk to you later.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
See ya.